Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to your early morning episode of Vintage Story. I note this is episode 21. I can't believe I've been playing it that long, to be honest. Winter is here, as they say. A much overused line, to be honest. Oh no, it's winter is coming. Yeah, well, winter in this particular case is here. I think I've got enough food for winter, which is good. I'm not sure my clothing is up to scratch, which is bad, but we'll see. Hey, Zenlenus. Hello, Mischief. How are you both doing? So, rather than pontificate, let's just get on with it. See if I can avoid dying again, because that's irritating. Oh, that's good to know. Right, what time of day is it? That's the first problem. It is 6 o'clock, which means, what am I doing? Panning, I suspect. What do I need to do? I need that. Okay. As we can see. Oops, I can't jump. My usual way up is... There we go. As you can see, I've got snow on the roof, even though I haven't actually seen it snowing. Ice is forming on the lake. I'm amazed the farm is still going. I need to dig that out because it's depleted. And replace all the dirt. That's a task I'm hoping for over the winter. The other task I'm hoping to do over winter is make the anvil, because I need a chisel so that I can make a quern, so that I can make flour, so that I can make bread. And I know that's well, actually I don't think I can make bread. I need fire clay, and don't remember the rules for fire clay, but well, let's get on with the boring bit. Where is our... And yes, I'm going to be spending quite some time hip deep in freezing water. How do I know it's freezing? Because that's ice. Well, as people are probably bored of hearing, I'm in the process of setting up a streaming PC. That is, right now, streaming and gaming is done on the same computer, which does actually impact gaming performance potentially quite significantly. So I have a baseline M4 Mac Mini, which will take over the streaming jobs when I can get a capture card, and I hope to get a capture card some point in the next 3 weeks. Yeah, it comes down to when I can afford it. And so therefore all streaming will take place over there, and the computer will just do gaming. There's a lot of things made easier by switching over to a separate gaming computer, especially one that has a commercial operating system like OS X. There's a lot of things I can do. I can get rid of the green screen. I can use a virtual green screen, which probably works much better than the physical one I'm doing now. Virtual green screens, I think, are possible in Linux. And I am slowly working through that, just in case. but it turns out not to be quite so simple. So yeah, and I am really, really looking forward to switching over. I did a few tests actually streaming and gaming on the M4 Mac, and it's quite capable. I can stream Sky 4K at 60 frames a second. Well, a green screen is what you use so that you can see the game behind me. So the yeah, that's basically what it is. And you can have a physical green screen, which is behind me. And the way it works is the software looks at the green screen. You tell it, oh, that's green, and then you can make it transparent. Well, the OS X software I've got goes a step further. It actually removes the chair. It just leaves me, and then you put a completely green background on it, and then you can make that transparent. And it means I don't need the physical screen I've got behind me, which hopefully you can't see. So yeah, green screens are used by a lot of streamers. I don't know to what extent virtual green screens are, but yeah. And I've mostly got everything set up. I've pretty much duplicated my OBS configuration. OBS is what I use to do the streams themselves. So most, if not all, that configuration is transferred over and twiddled around with to get it all working properly. Yeah, you know, it's so switching over to a separate streaming PC will give me considerably more capability that will be completely invisible to everybody watching. So it's my project for the next few months, is getting everything set up, because once I've got that little computer all set up and running, I will probably want a proper Stream Deck. And one of those things where you press a button and it does things. Right now, I'm using keystroke combinations or just physically using the mouse, which can have its own set of issues if you're not very careful. Yeah. So it's always an extra capability is always nice. Yeah, I can rant endlessly about geek stuff, so don't get me started. Most people have heard all this before. Probably they're saying, "Oh no, he's talking about that again." Oops. Excuse me a moment. I need a torch or two. Give me a second. Where's the torch gone? There we go. Right. I think I did. I think I left a heart for him. But I could be wrong about that. If I didn't, I do apologize. I normally try and do things like that. Ooh, lapis. I'm just trying to put everything together. Here we go. Right. I'm sorry, I probably did, and it may not have registered. If I didn't leave a heart, that is very neglectful of me. I have seen everybody's animal pictures on Discord. I have enough trouble remembering the names of all of them. I'm slowly remembering everybody's fur babies' names. Hang on a second. Excuse me, everybody. I'm going to make sure that I have seen Zen Lennis's cat. That's Peanut. Yes, I think so. I did leave a heart. 2 cats, I see. 1 black. There's Anna's fur babies. Yes, I did leave a heart. Yep. Yes. Yeah, I did. Both times. Who's the second cat? Because that one's new to me. I need to make a note for the animal companions list. Yes, I'm going to make a note here. He or she. Ah. Opamos. Hello, Opamos. It's one of the few benefits I can offer to viewers if you are a subscriber in good standing, active in chat, and your fur babies come up in conversation. They get put on the animal companions list that you see during intermissions and the waiting screens. My Discord is primarily 2 things, it seems. One is me making geek commentary on my own activities, and that's where I also announce, oh, I'm feeling ill today, sorry, no live stream or something like that. So we've got that. We've got pictures of fur babies, or fur children if you prefer, and sometimes recipes. There have been some very tasty looking recipes published on there. I think 2 people heard that and promptly exited. I'm actually kind of pleased with the way my Discord has come together. I never really planned it. Oh, it's Optimus. Optimus, that makes much more sense. Okay, Optimus. Yeah, I never had any particular plan for Discord, except as a place where I could make announcements, self-serving ones at that. And it's evolved over the last year into being as much about animals and recipes as it is anything else. Oh, well, that's not entirely true. There is some other stuff that goes on there, but yeah. Yep. Apparently somebody doesn't like the idea that a video game streamer's Discord is primarily used for admiring cats and dogs. Oh, no, and then they came back. So but if you want a more or less updated if you're wondering why I'm not streaming at a scheduled time, there's a very good chance I will have got some minor explanation in the Discord. I ought to do it on the YouTube channel community posts, but to be honest with you, when I'm feeling ill and I'm thinking, oh Lord, I've got to make some kind of announcement, it's just I generally just stick it up on Discord. So don't bother looking at my blue sky. I never use it. I don't even know why I have the link. And before anybody comments, yes, I still use a notepad, a physical paper notepad for stuff. I find it actually easier half the time than using a computerized note-taking system. Yeah, nobody ever pays any attention to my blue sky. You're 32. You are young. Oh, I see. Yeah. You're young enough to be my offspring. Because I'm 60. Which is, by the way, a well-known thing about me. I need to make more stew at some point. Okay. Yeah, well, I need, what time of day is it? It is 2 o'clock in the morning. Whoa, just to give you some idea of what's happening outside, it is -7 outside, and I'm pretty certain I would not do very well. I actually need to make some stew. So we shall make some stew. I have no idea where... no. Let's make some porridge. I think I can make porridge with berries in it. Use the last of my berries. That's interesting. I would have sworn blind. There we go. Yes, for an oven I need fire clay. I have not found fire clay. So my best bet at the moment is porridge rather than bread. Hey, but look at me! I'm cooking stuff. There's a lot of stuff I don't have. I mean, I got comments about why aren't you mining for copper or words to that effect. Yeah. Well, not right now. I'm not going to, I can tell you. I need to put those away. And all these seeds you see here are for the spring thaw, so to speak. Clamp? Oh, clamp. Well, yes, do you know what? That's a very good idea. Bear in mind, I haven't even made bronze yet. I have a long way to go. A greenhouse will unquestionably be made. That's why I'm not throwing away the quartz. It's like saying, why don't you make a sailing ship? Yeah, I'm nowhere near the sailing ship thing yet. Why don't I have a proper mine? Yeah, that's something else I need to do. I'm still stuck in the Copper Age. That's right. Why don't you have a windmill for grinding your flour? I haven't even got a quern. And even if I do make a quern, like I say, I haven't found fire clay, so I can't make an oven. I've got a long ways to go. I mean, if I freeze to death too often, I'm going to call this game done. I know I could just freeze to death and just keep dying, but there's going to come a point. If I freeze to death too often, or I starve to death too often over the winter period, I'm simply going to call it I failed and then start over with a heck of a lot more urgency. I was concerned I hadn't started the farm soon enough, but I have. I hope that I'm wrong about that. I did some rough calculations, and I have enough stored grain to make porridge to last me, well, in game, something like grief, how long? 30 odd days. And there's 9 days, I think, 9 or 10 days to a month. So, excuse me, itchy head. Oh, I should make it. So that's 3 months. That'll get me through to February, roughly, I suppose. And if I effectively, uh, I haven't seen any lately, but I will check. I do have a berry farm outside the hut. And I will probably go hunting, so it's not like I'm completely bereft of anything else, but porridge is going to pretty much become the staple. I've got the granite for making a quern, but I need a chisel. And the only way I can get a chisel is with an anvil. So hey, but look, if this was survival and you had enough food for the winter and you managed to get through the winter, that would be a good thing. Now, the minor problem, of course, is that in reality, the hardest time of year for hunter-gatherer types was apparently spring. Because while spring looks nice and the weather's changed, everything is still growing. So, in reality, spring was a very hard time because people had finished off the food they had stored over winter, and now they had no food and it was spring and there wasn't much food left. October is, let's say October, fall is probably, whoops, the best time of year because that's when you can gather food. It's starting from sort of September. But I mean, there's all kinds of things I need. I need proper armor so that I can fight off a bear. I mean, any confrontation with a bear I've got two choices: run away or die. Sometimes the two choices are the same: run away and die. Uh, I would have made a terrible teacher. I don't have patience. I just like knowing things. And half of what I think I know is probably wrong, so. And one of the things about teaching history is you'd have to teach the syllabus. And that would irritate me sometimes, I've no doubt. Yes, that's what I want. Where is my... Oh, it's quite late in the day. I haven't really looked at my primary recollection for what is taught in history was when I was in school back in the 70s and 80s. Oops. And that's not necessarily what they teach today. So we got taught innocence, what was a lot of propaganda, I suspect. Cool stuff, it has to be also said. But one of the reasons I carry rope is so that when I die, I've got the necessary tools to make a raft and get out. Where did my pan just go? Oh, there. I don't want it there. Yeah, I imagine so. Sorry, what was smart? I missed that. Oh, excuse me. Oh boy. It's now so that I can't get out. Ah. I can't get out of my own house because the snow is so deep. Oh, brother, look at this. It's getting terrible. I can't even jump up. I have to make a step. Close. It's only -3, and I haven't started freezing yet. Let's see if anything's actually... I'm amazed any of this is growing. It really shouldn't be. I've stopped basically planting because it was winter. Yeah, everything. A lot of stuff is pretty much growing extremely slowly. Yeah. All this has got to be dug out and replaced. So here's my berries. And... yeah, these aren't... yeah, these haven't produced fruit in some time. Yeah. So I am completely out of berries. Oh, that's fine. What I actually ought... Do you know what I ought to do? I ought to basically work on this and replace all that lot. That would actually make sense. I doubt I'm going to get anything more, so going out and getting a whole bunch of dirt would probably be a good idea. Do I have a shovel? A spare shovel anywhere? I don't. Am I going to have to make one? I do. I do have a shovel. Not in very good condition. Let's make another one. Oh, that looks terribly cold. The good news is the one thing I have a plethora of is flint. I need a much more reliable supply of everything. Oh, I do have a proper shovel. Yeah. Alright, let's go and see if we can find some better soil. Oof. Without having to go too far. The moment I start shivering, I'm back home. Low facility soil. Medium. And that's something else I got to do. Learn how to make better soil. But for now, I'm just going to dig everything out and do things that way. I know this isn't an optimum way of doing things, but yes, I will be doing the long dark at 7 o'clock. That's in 2.5 hours. No, it's 5:30. Yeah, 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours? No, 9 o'clock. I'm sorry, not 7. I can't do basic math while I'm digging, apparently. Oh, yeah. I think you, if you've got any sense, will be asleep. So 3.5 hours. I think. That sounds about right, doesn't it? Yeah, 3.5 hours. Of course, I've completely disrupted the landscape, and I hate doing that. Oh, but it's only 0 degrees centigrade. Yeah, so I think all this is going to get... I probably just ought to bite on the bullet, dig this out, and start replacing it. I'm not sure this is actually going to grow at all. Oh, right. Yeah, my sleep schedule is weird, but then my excuse is I'm an old man. I am of two minds as to whether or not I should dig this out now, because I don't know. It's going to take forever to grow. What do we think? Dig it out now and just take my losses so that when spring comes, or make a cover for the farm? Would that work? I mean, I could, couldn't I? I suppose I could make, actually, I'm not sure what I could make. There should be charcoal brewing in there. But yeah, but look how far I didn't get putting a thatched roof on. I think I am going to gamble here. I'm just going to dig this out. And just take my chances. Seeing as this was the plan anyway, so at least... Yeah. I'll reclaim some of the seeds. Nothing else. Come winter, comes the next growing season, which I will have to wait until I know. The funny thing is, I've actually done things like this when I was a kid. We had a... because of circumstances, we literally had to have you know, keep chickens, have our own garden. And so one of the regular things that we ended up having to do, which I hated, was digging out the garden. That exercise is horrendous. I hated doing that because it always gave me backache. And in heavy clay soil, it's a thankless task. At least I've got the seeds. So, okay. I need a saw. I mean, there's so much I need. So, in principle, this will all be ready come spring. But the good news is I don't seem to be freezing to death yet. Oh, this is almost perfectly arranged. How about that? So there's our farm. And I say our farm. Yeah. Oh, it's making me cold just looking at it. Look, we did get a whole load of seeds. So I think come the next growing season, we'll be able to hit the ground running, which is nice. Yeah, you know what? That was probably not a terrible idea. Come on, go down. There we go. Right. Let's. What did I get that I can stack in here? I need storage for seeds. But then this is why I made extra. Ooh. Oh well. Onion breath time. Do I have? Yes, I do. And yeah. Wow, look at this. You do actually get... Ah! Eh. Right. That's one thing done. And I will expand the farm. Given the long life of some of these things. I mean, these last, look, fresh for 10 years, fresh for 1.9 years, fresh for 1.4 years. You know, I'm going to set up proper storage for all this stuff. So I'm going to end up with stacks of ceramic storage vessels which, yeah, expand the basement, or create a new one, because there's a limit to basement size, I think. Right, we've made progress. Let's see if we can make progress on an anvil. Those torches should be good for another day. Yesterday, actually, from a technical perspective, was a minor nightmare. I spent the weekend trying to install graphics drivers, which, this is Linux, remember. I got that sorted eventually, after I slowly figured out what was going on. Well, that's sorted, got the new drivers in. That's actually supporting ray tracing in principle. I don't think I have any games which really properly support ray tracing, but anyway, and I'm not sure I particularly like ray tracing, even though it's supposed to be superior. So that was okay. The weekend, yeah, I had to restore from a systems backup twice in that process. And then, so yesterday, I decided to update the Linux kernel. Promptly got rebooted, promptly got a kernel panic on boot, which fortunately I was able to get around and sort out. I have no idea why updating the Linux kernel gave me a kernel panic. Linux is not for the faint of heart. Even the best presented Linux is not. It's not it's quite usable if you're prepared to go through some trouble. Even SteamOS on the Steam Deck, you can get yourself into real trouble with that, based on stuff I've seen. And arguably SteamOS might be the most user accessible version of Linux that's out there, simply because it's on a commercial product. If you don't touch it and don't do anything, you're probably all right. But even on a Steam Deck, you're actually having to run games through the Proton compatibility layer, because you're running Windows games on a Linux system. Now, I've done this. Everything I've tried so far has either worked or has been gotten to work. But sometimes you just have to go that little bit extra to get it to run. Now, some games are Steam Deck certified, so pretty much, you're safe. But I wanted to run Dark Sector. Dark Sector is the spiritual prequel to Warframe, and I'll probably return to running it. Now, Dark Sector came out in 2007. It's a console game. Kind of looks and plays like a console game. It's all right. It's not fantastic, but it is good. It's an interesting. If you like Warframe, you really owe it to yourself to play Dark Sector. And it's not Steam Deck certified, by the way. So what do you have to do if you want to run it? Well, first of all, you've got two choices if you want to try and run it. The first is through what's called Proton Experimental. It will run, but that's not the end of the story. But let's finish this bit first. And now, I've had problems with Proton Experimental, and it is known on occasion to cause kernel panics. I had one of those happen during a live stream. Again, I've actually had two compatibility layer related kernel panics during live streams, which is always embarrassing. But it turns out if you run Proton version 7, that also works, and I can confirm. Now the problem is, but imagine yourself as a regular type gamer, console type gamer, who's just reaching a little bit, maybe, oh, we'll try this. That's going to be awfully disconcerting, especially when you just paid £7 for the privilege. But there's more. So, back in 2007, the sort of standard was 1080p. Arguably, 1080p is still the standard. I go against it by running 1440p and 1440p widescreen. Hey, little nugget. And actually, on a Steam Deck, it's not a problem because the Steam Deck is 720p. But to get Dark Sector running properly, you actually have to manually edit the configuration files, and don't touch the graphics settings in the game itself, and then it works. Yeah, that's not what your average Windows user is going to want to go through. Every single time, here's a general rule of thumb, and arguably this applies to Steam Deck users. Every single time you get a game, especially a game that's not certified for Steam Deck, you're basically biting on the bullet and hoping it'll work. And if your mindset is just a regular user, you're a regular Windows type user, you just want to load your game and run. If that's your mindset and experience, you're going to get really, really frustrated. Now, with me, it becomes a case of, I understand the risks. There's probably a fix. We'll do it. Having said that, there are games out there where you have other problems, even with Windows. The classic one for me at the moment is Soulframe. Oh, I'm talking geek stuff with Zen Lennis over on YouTube. Or rather, Zen Lennis is listening and probably saying, why is he talking about this? No one has any interest in this, do they? Anyway, I got to talk about something while I'm panning for copper. So Soulframe, which is in very, very early pre-release, it's quite runnable, by the way. I have not had a problem running once I got it running. I am told that if you're trying to run it under Windows 10 or Windows 11, you sort of have to run it under Windows 7 compatibility to get it to work. Although it has to be said, for early adopters, that's probably not a problem. For Linux, well, first of all, I had to get an invite to play it, which fortunately one of my subscribers was kind enough to give me. And then I fixed my problem by actually buying the Founders Pack. So, regular subscribers in good standing, people who come along and engage, if you want a Soulframe invite code, I have a few I can give away. Yeah. Is Soulframe worth playing? Absolutely. If you're a fan of Warframe, Soulframe is interesting. It looks fantastic, by the way. I hope you are not as cold as you were yesterday, little nugget. The snow is piling up outside in the game. And I'm eating fruit porridge. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make some more in a bit. Right, talking about things that are going to happen in a bit, I am going to give my bladder some attention, and I will be back in a couple of minutes. Right, and I am back, as they say. What was I talking about? Gaming systems, I think. I would imagine that a Linux-based gaming system, if all you were going to do was run games, Linux would probably work okay for a lot of people. If you simply said, I want a gaming system and I'm not going to do anything else with it, you'd probably be all right. Especially with something like SteamOS, which you can get for full-size desktops. That would probably work okay most of the time. but it's not going to be as convenient necessarily as a Windows system. And you may say, well, what's the benefit of running Linux over Windows? One, Linux is probably faster. You arguably get better performance out of games, even through the compatibility layer on a Linux system compared with a Windows system. I'm sure there are people who will argue with that, but it seems to be generally true. In fact, some games work better if you run the Windows version compared with the Linux version. The Long Dark is actually a case in point. There is a Linux version of the Long Dark. I don't run it. I run the Windows version because it's better and performs better and has better graphical options. I would like to see OS X come to the fore more as a gaming system, because my little streaming PC there is surprisingly capable. The other day, when I first started putting it together, of course I was going to put games on there. Not a huge number, just one or two. So I put Sky Children of the Light on it and hooked it up to my widescreen. And for whatever reason, OS X looks at my widescreen and says 100 hertz. Well, I can run Sky Children of the Light at a solid 100 frames a second while I'm streaming, which is moderately impressive. And this is just the pokey little baseline Mac Mini. The higher end Mac Minis, which run the M4, what is it, M4 Max or M4 Pro, give you much better performance. Another 75% more performance. And I'm told from what people are saying, for 1080p gaming, it actually does surprisingly well. I would love to see, what a top-end Mac Studio or Mac Mini can do with modern games. I mean, I can run Sky Children of the Light on 4K at 60 frames a second. I haven't been able to test it any faster because my 4K monitors, it's not actually advertised that they can do 4K, but they can. I don't recommend 4K on a 27-inch screen, by the way, but it will run and stream at 60 frames a second on both. And if you don't believe me, you can go and look at the video I made of it. So some games it'll run extremely well. I put Minecraft on it, and it runs Minecraft quite well, especially if you put Vulkan mod on there. I can get on a fairly dense scene with mangrove swamp biome in the background, 225 frames a second. And you may think that doesn't sound like much. Trust me, the mangrove swamp biome is fairly demanding of resources. Now, the same seed, the same scene on my gaming system here, I can get it up to 1200 frames a second. So it's a long way off being as capable, but in some ways it's almost a game by game thing. So I in the back of my head, I do hope that Apple and OS X becomes more prevalent gaming. You can run Windows games on it, apparently, through Steam and Proton or Rosetta, and sometimes apparently that works very well. It's not something I would immediately recommend to everybody. But, you know, you can do some moderately decent gaming on a, you know, I'm pretty certain I could run the Long Dark on that system and get a thoroughly streamable experience, you know, which is, for me, 60 frames a second. And at some point, I'm going to have to try it. Because I have run the Long Dark on Macs before. Granted, Intel Macs. Playable. Not fantastic, but playable. Alright, we're ready for our next smelting session. Oops, wrong one, I'm sorry. I thought I had my fire starter here. Wow, it's -8 outside. Time to huddle by the fire. I shall warm my backside by the fire. Yeah, I need to do some more cooking. It's funny that you can actually get snowed in. see about... What else do I need to put away? Zinc. I am getting zinc in quantity. I actually made a zinc ingot. To what purpose, I'm not entirely sure, but still. Right, that's everything kind of sorted there. It's turning into thorough, long, dark weather outside. "6:32 in the morning. We'll just finish off panning this. Where did I... There we go. So I can get 100 units a night fairly easily. A couple more nights and I should be able to make the anvil. In case anybody's wondering, I'll be going for about another hour. Well, 57 minutes, but you get the general drift. And there will be a lot of this kind of thing. In case anybody's wondering why I don't necessarily do more, the daylight hours are quite short out there, and I don't feel like wandering around this landscape in the dark with nothing but a torch to light my way. I've done that once. It was not fun. And that's putting it mildly. I'm going to need some more of that. I'm going to need another shovel, probably. Let's sort another shovel out. What am I looking for? Sticks. So I've got to go and get more sand. Whoa. -7. Oh, that's not too bad. Let's see if I can find some. Wow. Yeah, you can see why I don't want to go too far in all this. I think they're supposed to be... Oops. Nope. I can't even see where the sand would be now. I'm on the ice. Wow. Huh. This is actually somewhat problematic, because I know there is another patch of gravel around here, but I don't know where it is. Ah, here we go. Slate sand. Oh, bother. I didn't realize. Ah. Right. I had not anticipated that the snow would be so deep I couldn't even tell where my sand mining operation is. The thing is, actually, over there is actually a warmer biome. It's not that far. Technically, what I ought to do, I suppose, is move there, but in truth, I wanted to see what I could, if I could survive this. This is roughly equivalent to parts of Europe / England, I suppose, in terms of weather. Oh, wow. Yep, we're up to the frozen lake, so we're going to get an inadvertent pond here later. By the way, here's a little hint if you're not a experienced player, and by the way, I'm not. If you dig up rhizomes like I just did, replant them, you're going to need them. Where's the rhizomes? Oh, never mind. Yeah, this is going to flood. It's -5. But the good news is my body temperature is all right. For certain values of all right. It's only 9 o'clock in the morning. I can tell you, if you spend significant time in the lake, yeah, you will start shivering and freezing and all the rest of it. But that lake is now almost completely frozen. Wow. I say wow like that because it's like I had no idea what the game would do come winter. I actually thought maybe I could fish in the lake, but looking at this, I think the simple answer is nope, can't do that. And that's going to be my farm, which I ought to dig out a bit more. I say ought to. Actually, yeah, you know what? That probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Ah. What am I doing in here besides shutting the door behind me? Oh, I don't know what I can do with that. Right, that's a bunch of copper there for future reference. I don't know if I can replant this. I can. And the wind looks like it's picking up. Grief. It is actually, I tell you what, somewhat intimidating to look at this and realize I can't fish. I don't know how far I can safely go before I start to freeze to death. And yet I need to engage in some farming practices. Just so that if I survive till spring, I can hit the ground running. I hope they don't have vitamin C deficiency in the game. So let's go and see what we can do in terms of farm expansion. Where did my farm end? I think it was pretty much here. So this is all low fertility soil, which is fine. I'll just dig it out. And I use low fertility soil for making packed earth, which is a fairly useful sort of building material. Because what I really could do with is extending the stream through here. I need a bucket. If I had buckets, I could actually irrigate much better than I am, and that would be a huge thing for me. So we'll just flatten out a big area here. Where will I expand? I'm gonna have to expand somewhere. Oh, and I need to get charcoal. Let's go and do charcoal, shall we? Let's see. I know this is very Minecraft early days stuff. Guess what? Too bad. I'm just gonna have to live with it. As everybody probably knows, because I've made the point innumerable times, I am not a very good builder. In fact, quite a terrible builder. Right, let's go and check on our yes, we have More charcoal. What's the best way of breaking charcoal? For some reason, I love the sound that makes. Yeah, I gotta use my copper. Ah! And yeah, I went overboard on this because early days I couldn't get this to work. So I ended up basically having a very, very stable area to sort of make charcoal in. So this is all packed dirt. So I can just fill this in. I need to fill it up to this level. So the reason I got the roof on is I don't get the level wrong. Because otherwise I will do that. Right. Yeah, I should probably think about... And yes, I know my bed is right next to that. And this is not a good scene. And if we get fires in here, I'm probably going to end up dying of carbon monoxide poisoning. I'm going to go chop down a tree at some point. How much? One. It's 32. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go chop down a tree at some point. Still, that's enough charcoal to keep me going. What time of day is it? 2 o'clock. Yeah, I do have some meat stored away somewhere. I ought to eat it while I think about it. Still, that's good. Look at this. That's good for 22 days. Thank goodness I dug out this. So, yeah, definitely going to expand the storage there. That's coming along, slowly but surely. Very tempted to have a little wander. Oh, little wander. That's another way of saying... elaborate way of saying get yourself killed. Last time I did this, I did get killed. Funny to think that this was, this started out being as a quick, oh, let's start here. At some point, I'm gonna do some building. Oh, grief, I don't like building because I'm no good at it. I know technically speaking that means I should practice more, but when you have the artistic sentiment, or no, that's not quite true, the artistic capabilities of being repeatedly kicked in the head, which is me, Building becomes a trial, and you end up going with functionality over prettiness. My best builds, arguably, in Minecraft were underground. And you can see the problem. It's getting dark already, and I don't want to be going around here in the dark. Now, my best builds in Minecraft are A, underground, and B, pretty much focus on the infrastructure mechanisms I have in place. Looks more like a evil overlord's lair than somewhere that's pretty. And so but as it happens, I happen to take a certain degree of pleasure in a sort of functionality look. I'm going to make another couple of torches. I'm going to need some branches at some point. Oh, look at that. I've got them scented. Yeah. It's 4 o'clock and it's dark. This is very England in winter. Right now, I think it's dark outside here and it's nearly, what, 7 o'clock, 6:30? Some point I've got to fix the chimney. I need some basically, yeah, that's just decoration. But if I didn't cover it up like that, the fire would go out every time it rains. So I had to put a cap on it. So it's not a very good chimney. At some point I ought to slant this up and make it look more chimney-ish. But I'm not doing too badly. I mean, I think the fur boots and the fur gloves really help. Whoa. This does look a bit like them. I say it's getting increasingly like the long dark. It's just not as cold. Oh, look at this. I just want to have a look at something here. What is a third person? Oh, F5. Yeah, we are wading through snow, which means at some point it's going to get deeply unpleasant. Actually, I want to check something again. I can't remember. How do I... let's see. First, third person or overhead camera. Oh. Yeah, and like I say, you really don't want to be walking out here in the dark. Last time I did that, I ran into 2 wolves. That's the other thing you don't want to have happen. I don't know what the heating system is like in the game. So I don't know if these torches help warm it up. But yeah, now we're back to what am I doing this evening? Well, yes, I'm sorry, it's going to be very boring for you. Unless I find something interesting to talk about. So if you don't want to be thoroughly bored, give me something interesting to talk about. Oh. Not politics. I try and keep out of politics. And one of the problems about even mentioning is like, okay, how can I talk about certain things without making it sound political, even if technically it isn't political? So, nope, let's avoid certain subjects, shall we? Oh, no problem. Yeah, I've had that recommended. The problem is, in case anybody's wondering, why don't you play this game? Why don't you play that game? One, I do have some time in the day to play games other than the ones I stream. Not a huge amount. I have a bit, which I play for relaxation. And almost every day I play with a friend from Malaysia. So, if somebody wanted me to get into Red Dead Redemption, it would almost certainly be on stream. Well, I've already got 3 streaming slots. And they're kind of... the Long Dark's been a staple of the channel, more or less since the start, so I'm not getting rid of that. It's also mostly the videos that perform the best in terms of live streams. Vintage Story does surprisingly well on a regular basis, so I'm not about to drop that, which leaves the evening slot, and the evening slot keeps going back to Warframe, because I do love Warframe, and it's my only chance mostly to actually put some time in the game, except for maybe first thing in the morning. So well, my son's doing okay at the moment. Gonna start getting him ready for his A-levels soon. Cross fingers he'll get into university. He wants to do sports science, and he has got an offer on the table. Yeah, yeah. If you, some games you really need to get in on it early. I mean, for streaming, um, I'd love to play Skyrim, except that now, I mean, any game I put significant time in, it's going to be something I have to stream just to meet my daily sort of streaming requirements. I mean, technically, I ought to drop this stream so that I can go swimming. But then what would I do? Everybody who's watching now, and hopefully some of them will repeat. If I suddenly dropped this, what would happen? I would have to say move vintage story to the evening, but then I lose the walk. You get the general drift. It's all a matter of balance. And just to make life difficult, I have to take an afternoon nap, which because my sleep patterns are weird. Soulframe, strangely, is not that popular a streaming subject. Although I did complete, I think, all the current quests, with the possible exception of the organ. But the organ isn't a quest per se; it's a recurring mission. It hasn't got the depth of Warframe yet. Warframe, I can say, right, I'm going to try and build this particular Warframe, which means you need to do A, B, or C, so there's a goal there. I could say, right, I'm going to spend the next week just building up my Railjack experience and opening up Railjack missions. I could, there's a whole bunch of different things you can do despite having done all the quests except for Wave Rider, which I can't do because I'm terrible at that particular quest. Yeah. I'd love to get back to Armored Core Fires of Rubicon, but I mean, weekend would be the only time I can do that. And honestly, if I keep my streaming schedule 3 times a day, 7 days a week, I burn out. And I has had that happen a few times. So, yeah, that's why weekends aren't scheduled. If I feel like taking the entire weekend off, then that's what I'm going to do. All right. Well, sleep well. Good to have you, so to speak. So I try. I did have a goal of running a soul frame at the weekends, but that doesn't tend to. It still doesn't. It doesn't do too well, and it is awful. It is quite slow and a bit grindy. It's fine for me, but if I don't have anything to talk about, it quickly becomes very boring for everyone else, I suspect. The curious thing is, and I might make this a regular thing, running Sky Children of the Light proved quite popular on Saturday. I have no idea why. And that is a grindy game. Once you've gone through all the quests, they're quite grindy. You're left with the daily stuff. I mean, I could make up a goal or two, but just, don't worry. Oh, I'm not sure you could say I'm growing every day. I don't suppose I really changed much in the last year. The technology's improved. Me? I doubt it. key. Oh wow, we are slow to... Oh boy, now I'm getting cold. First thing you do, get out the water. Second thing you do, see how bad it gets. Was it because I was in the water? It's interesting. I was in the water. Normally when you're in water, it'll show you wet. No, it doesn't show me as wet. I'm just getting cold. Ooh, boy. Let's just light a fire. I don't know about that. Come on, right. Ah. Yeah. Let's make... I don't know whether this will work. Let's see if I can do something a little different. What is that? That is flax. Oh, no, that's okay. Let's, we don't need that. I wonder if I can do anything with flax and turnips. Yeah. How about that? I can mix things up a bit. Vitamin C, so to speak. What am I doing? I am putting stuff away. Good news is I don't need a massive amount of tin. Sorry, yeah, to make bronze. At least in principle you don't. It's endlessly amusing to me that you get this massive amount of bones. Why aren't they sticking out? So to speak. Right. We've made food. Now we're back into the freezing cold water. Let's see how long this lasts. At some point I ought to expand things so that I actually have a workshop instead of having everything crammed together like this. I wish it would give you some idea of temperatures inside your little hut, whether or not you are... Oops. Oh, that's interesting. Well, let me change the view. Why are you not letting me change the view? I'm kind of curious to see how embedded I am in the water. Did it change? F5's supposed to put you in third person view, but apparently it didn't. And this is also something I've run across where you set up a key combination and then it accidentally does something you don't intend it to. Yeesh. I mean, I remember what my key combinations are for broadcast software, but then sometimes it affects the game as well. So it's getting to the point that I've had enough mistakes, which haven't necessarily gone noticed, fortunately, that a Steam Deck would be useful, which works somewhat differently. So that's probably going to be the next thing after I get the capture card, a Steam Deck. Sorry, Stream Deck, not Steam Deck. A Stream Deck, one of Elgato's most likely, would be very useful. Assuming I've got any USB ports spare. I should do. Yeah, that map is now completely white. -10 outside. Yeah. That's why I started new torches. You know, the music sometimes, well, the music is kind of nice. Sometimes, oh, and I'm getting cold again. I wonder if I got enough time to... Body temperature, 33.7. I wonder if I got enough time to actually finish off this stack before I freeze to death. 33.5. I'm kind of curious to see. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Kind of interesting to watch my temperature, body temperature rise up. What's the optimum body temperature that you get to in this game? 37.5, isn't it, probably? Yep, that seems to be... Well, that's interesting. Hunger rate's 125%. I thought I would have it. Is that a game setting, or is that something else? Is that simply because it's winter and it's cold and calorie consumption is much higher? Let's see. 37.7. I'm just kind of curious now. See, if I'm just wandering around out here without being, neck deep in water, how fast my body temperature goes down, if it does indeed go down. Yeah, I'm not sure what causes me to go cold, but apparently being knee-deep in freezing water doesn't necessarily do it. Oh, yeah, maybe it does. 37.5. Probably ought to put another chimney right there. Put a fire pit above them. Let's put some stuff away. Flint is not something I have in short supply, fortunately. Wait, this is going come the end of winter. I'm going to be thoroughly ready for the Bronze Age. And bone meal, I'm assuming... Ooh, wow, that does not look nice. Actually, this is an interesting little experiment. Let's see. Right. If I stand outside... What does it do to my body temperature? It drops, obviously, but not staggeringly quickly. Probably inevitably, though. Right, as you may sort of gather from my tone of voice, well, maybe part of the problem is if I'm knee-deep in snow, does it make me start freezing faster? I just realized you don't leave footprints in the snow. Well, definitely getting colder out here. At -8 degrees, yeah, I would think you would. Oh, I'm sorry, Tony, but yes, I am in fact about to leave. But seeing as you're here, I thought you might like to see this. Here's the view we have. Progress has been made. The farm has been dug out and replaced by more fertile soil for the next growing season. I'm going to continue to expand it. So I've got a more significant farming area. Try and find some way of irrigating it come the spring. If I have to build a barrel and then manually fill it in, I'll do that. Yeah, it's sort of snowing. We haven't actually seen any major snowstorms, but it's not. It should be me. Never mind. And yeah, my body temperature is going down, but not hugely. It seemed to indicate that it might continue growing, but I decided to cut my losses, recover some of the seeds, and basically dig it out and replace it with more fertile soil. So that's an ongoing project. You can't really see where it is now because it's all covered up by snow, but it sort of goes up there. This area needs to be dug out. So I'll extend it over this way a bit as well. And then start considering... Yeah, you can't actually tell, but the lake is mostly frozen over. I had a plan for fishing, going fishing in the lake. Yeah, that's not happening. And you do get very cold very quick. And yep, you can see I'm actually starting to freeze. So I don't know whether I'll warm up in here. I have twice now had to light a fire to warm up inside the hut. Fortunately, it doesn't take a lot, but I'm going to have to dash for more charcoal at some point. So far, I'm doing all right for food. Cross fingers. It's not, yeah, we haven't even gotten through the entirety of November yet. So I should have enough food in principle for maybe the next 3 months. Roughly, I hope. Cross fingers. We'll have to see how that goes. If I do survive, I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to stockpile grain and what have you. Because in here, at least, you know, look at the parrot, the fresh for 16 years, fresh for 2.5 years, this kind of thing, this stuff. And I suspect it's because of the cold that this is perishable, for as long as it is. So anyone, I will be back in about 2 hours with the Long Dark for more survival in cold weather, albeit I don't actually have to build huts. And today is going to be nerve-wracking because today might be the day I go and hunt for the cougar, which means there's a very good chance that today is my last day on this particular run in the Long Dark. Even though I'm assured hunting the cougar is quite doable. And I know roughly how to do it. And yeah, you can see he's starting to freeze. Actually, let's sort that out. Yeah. Oh, yes, just standing outside there was enough to get me cold. So, with my bottom to the fire, with my bottom to the fire, I will wish you all a very good day, and thank you all very much for watching. If anybody feels like liking and subscribing, that would be much appreciated, because I would like to see this channel grow. If you would like to see this channel grow, that is what you can do to help, apart from sharing and passing the word. Because I'll be back in about 2 hours. In fact, 2 hours from now, I will probably have been streaming for 10 minutes because I get bored. And I start early just in case I have connection problems, which sometimes happens. So, thank you very much for watching. Much appreciated. I will see you all next time.